just when you thought Johnny Depp couldn't get any stranger. Well, I mean, the tides, okay? Alright, yeah, they're both stranger. Last reviewed by me in Alice in Wonderland, Johnny Depp has been getting stranger by the movie. With the possible exception of Sweeney Todd, I don't think I've truly enjoyed watching Johnny Depp since Sleepy Hollow. He's been more and more a caricature of himself ever since, and I fear he will soon go the way of Christopher Walken, who was also in Sleepy Hollow, come to think of it. Anyway, Johnny Depp can still make a living playing Captain Jack Sparrow, at least for a while, I imagine. Even though this is the fourth in the series, and I have to say that the rest of the audience seemed mostly bored, the general buzz is probably more than enough to fuel movie number 5. On the other hand, I hear Depp said he signed on before the script was even written, so I guess he's lucky it wasn't even worse. If you like Johnny Depp or cartoonish violence, you're all set. I saw the first film, and I think most of the second, but I really don't remember them. I suspect the level of cartoonish violence has risen tremendously, though. There are also plenty of new characters, some of whom are also supposed to be old characters. Angelica, for instance, she's played by Penelope Cruz of Vicky Cristina Barcelona, and though Jack Sparrow recognizes her right away, the character is new. He seduced her between movies or something. She's disguised as him to start with, which was actually about the most fun part of the movie. It was probably hard for her to pull off walking as effeminately as Johnny Depp does. Anyway, Barbossa is back, of course, though he's minus a leg this time. He's still played by Geoffrey Rush of The King's Speech, and yeah, I can hardly believe one actor was in both those films, too. Having turned privateer under King George II, which was a pretty common thing for pirates to do in those days, he's been asked to claim the Fountain of Youth for England, mainly so the Spanish won't get it. The Spanish think it's already theirs by virtue of Ponce de Leon being the first person to die while out searching for it, and they send a crew to secure their rights. And Jack Sparrow, also between movies, has become obsessed with finding the Fountain of Youth, just because, I guess. He never really says why, and also never really seems interested in taking advantage of its offering of eternal youth, so I think that's what we call a plot hole. Also hunting for the fountain is Blackbeard, played by Ian McShane. He was the voice of Captain Hook in Shrek the Third, so I guess he just loves those piratey roles. But he's more famous to me as the not-quite-legit antique stealer Lovejoy in the British TV series of the same name. Now, here's the thing. Blackbeard died in 1718. The trivia section in IMDb claims that the film was supposed to be set in 1750, and this would roughly match the age of Richard Griffiths. He was Vernon Dursley in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, who plays the king. The movie never says which George he is. One poor guy gets shot just before he can mention the number, but George II is the general assumption around the net. It can't have been George I anyway, since he never bothered to learn English. Anyway, Blackbeard says himself that he's rumored to be dead, but lying low for 32 years seems a bit much. The point is, he looks fantastic for a dead pirate of 70, so he hardly seems to need a Fountain of Youth. There's also a priest, Philip, played by Sam Claflin, who doesn't get a name until almost the end of the flick and has no real reason for being there except to act like the hero of a fantasy piratey romance novel. There's also a mermaid, Serena, Astrid Burgess Frisbee, who's along for the hunt, reluctantly, because the Fountain of Youth apparently requires the tear of a mermaid to work. Mermaids are, well, more like piranha in this movie, actually. Kevin McNally is back, still making his living as put-upon first mate Joshua Gibbs, and Keith Richards shows up as Jack Sparrow from the future. And, well, Jack Sparrow's father. Talk about a family resemblance, though. Stephen Graham, who was the reluctant guide Hagamar from Season of the Witch, is reluctant Blackbeard's crew member Scrum, and there might have been other returning characters that I missed completely. There were a lot of people, and at one point or another, just about all of them tried to kill just about all the rest of them. 2 3/4 out of 5. I know. Everyone else is rating it higher, but I can't in good conscience give it more than that. I thought I'd at least enjoy the fight scenes, but there were too many of them and they just got too weird. The tiny subplot with the priest and the mermaid was interesting when it wasn't seeming too much like a Harlequin romance, but it was also, well, only a tiny subplot. There was just no one for me to cheer for and nothing of much interest for me, though the scenery was gorgeous. I mean, I know that's not much of a recommendation, but it was. Disney, however, with its usual luck, has somehow managed to finagle the best publicity ever. Just about the time the movie opened, researchers in North Carolina announced they were going to try to bring up the anchor from Blackbeard's former flagship, the Queen Anne's Revenge. This is why, as Carl Hyacin once wrote, Team Rodent devours the world. My heart is pierced by Cupid, I disdain all glittering gold. There is nothing can console me but my jolly sailor bold.